Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Headlines, the podcast where we explore the stories, the stories that impact, and the conversations that matter. I'm DJ Moises. Today, we shift our focus to today's development, disaster response, and weather updates. Join us live as we discuss major infrastructure plans, recovery efforts, and storm updates with our guests. First, we have from the Provincial Planning and Development Office, Elizar Sabinay Jr., who will explain Cebu Governor Pam Baricuatro's plan to present five mega infrastructure projects. Next is from MCWD. We have spokesperson Minerva Gerodias on water supply restoration efforts following Typhoon Tino. And finally, from Pag-asa, we have weather specialist Jhomer Eclarino with the latest update on Typhoon Verbena and the possibility of another typhoon this December. So tune in as we unpack these important developments and what they mean for Cebu and its residents. So on the phone, we have from the infrastructure and mega infrastructure projects from the Cebu Province Planning and Development Office, we have Elizar Sabinay. So good afternoon, Ellie.
Good afternoon, DJ, and good afternoon, everyone who is watching online.
Yes, and welcome back to Beyond the Headlines
Yes,
after
yes.
just a few days. So before we dive into the five projects, can you explain to our viewers what the Regional Development Council is and its role in Cebu's development?
Okay. So the regional development, which is currently recently appointed GovPAM as the chair. So they are the development council who is the oversight in terms of the development of the goal of Region 7. Right now, Region 7 is composed of two provinces and highly urbanized cities of Mandaue, Lapu-Lapu, and Cebu cities, and province Bohol and Cebu. So the RDC, the Regional Development Council, is the uh, development body that consolidates and integrate and also prioritize the development goal of Region 7. So as the RDC chair, currently right now, GovPAM is attending the Regional National um, Conference today to discuss among the regional development investment projects of Region 7, which will be funded by the national government. Because again, there are resources and nationally that we are limited, so the government needs to prioritize. So as the RDC chair, Gov will push to make sure all RDC development projects within the province of Cebu and Bohol will be incorporated and will be funded by our national government.
Yeah, so RDC is a council, no? So if this is led by Cebu Provincial Governor Pam Baricuatro, can you also walk us through who are the members of the council?
The RDC is composed by national government agencies, the governors of both Bohol and Cebu, highly urbanized cities and component cities, and some private sector representatives.
And just for better appreciation also of our viewers, can you also cite just major infrastructure projects that are already finished, which is an output of a previous output of the RDC?
Um, Actually, there are a lot, no. But to name some, let's say, if you remember the Metro Cebu Expressway, so these are projects that is beyond the budget of the local government unit, project that beyond the budget of the province, but requires support from the national government. So number one, in Cebu, the Metro Cebu Expressway, some dams in Bohol that requires higher budget for funding and requires government support. So the RDC is vital in really endorsing and pushing for projects that requires more funding and help and support from the national government.
So thank you for the clarification. So now we can move to the five major infrastructure projects that are being outlined by the Regional Development Council. So can you briefly walk us through each of these five major infrastructure projects?
Yeah. Right now, for RDC 7, we have identified top 30 uh, major projects for Region 7 that comprise of the projects for Bohol and Cebu. And they are divided per sector, economic, infrastructure, environment, and admin. And five. There are five sectors. So every sector has its own top six projects. For Cebu, we are pushing for we call it five mega projects for Cebu. So number one is we are pushing for the continuation of funding for the Metro Cebu Expressway project. This is in relation to transportation and mobility and traffic management of Cebu. Right now, we badly need, and we need it yesterday, an alternative highway of our existing national highway now. Because we are a linear province, so we really need an alternative highway just for us to ensure mobility within the province. Number two is the Naga Minglanilla Talisay Bypass Road. As you know, development from the core of Metro Cebu, which is Cebu City, Mandaue, Lapu-Lapu, is now sprawling to neighbor LGUs such as Talisay, Minglanilla, and Naga. And for us to ensure that there is a smooth mobility within that area, we are providing an alternative highway or alternative road just to make sure, because right now we are considered as a logistics hub in the province or in the Philippines, for us to provide a transit for this cargo and trucks going to this area. So we have Naga, Talisay, Bypass Road. We call it, this is around 15 kilometers. And this has been, actually this is not new. This has been the discussion by the previous administration and even the Regional Development Council, but there is no concrete progress. So with GovPAM now, she's pushing it not just within the RDC, but she's pushing it directly to the mandated agencies or the mandated proponent, which is DPWH, directly to Secretary Vince. She's ensuring that this will not remain a plan, but this will be budgeted hopefully by next year or by 2027. Third,
Ellie, I'm
yes,
sorry if I'll have to interrupt you there, but specifically for Naga Talisay Bypass Road, I'd like to clarify because when we guested Mayor Rajiv
Rejuvenate, yes,
Enad a few months ago, he mentioned that there was a small bypass road that they are also working along
yes,
with Congressman Gulyas.
yes,
Is this the same path or are we talking about a
yes,
different path? Okay, this is the same
yeah.
path.
If you look at right now, these are already existing road. You just need to connect it and widen the road. No, so if you look at it in terms of implementation and timeline, this must be short. This might be short. We just need more funding for it. So thus, we require the support from national government agencies.
And thank you for bringing that up. And for the sake of our viewers, if you recall, this was one of the concrete steps that need to be done because as of this time, the path going to south will have everybody will have to go through the national road. No? So this bypass
Yes.
will provide an alternative space so that it would also decongest the existing national highway.
Yeah. Yeah. As you look at our national road right now, it's not just for private vehicles, not just for public transport, but it's also where our cargo is also traversing. So with this Naga Minglanilla bypass road, it will give another route for these cargo trucks as their lane for them, just to decongest the existing national highway.
And then around because you mentioned that this is still for discussion with DPWH eventually for funding, no? So what
Yeah.
is the timeline that we can foresee, no, about this particular project?
Right now, based on our last update, this requires an updated feasibility study and detailed engineering design. There was an estimate amount of from DPWH around 7.8 billion 2 years ago, but right now it could be changed. No? So that's why we need a data, FS, and a detailed engineering design to know how much would this cost. And if there is FS and DED already, then we can identify the timeline of its implementation. If we have that study lang, then we can push with the construction proper. So right now, we're pushing for it to be included in the, hopefully by 2026 budget, and if not 2027, but we're pushing for 2026, hopefully.
Okay, so I'll go back to, because I think prior to this one, you mentioned also a parallel road, no?
Yeah.
So this is a separate project.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
can you walk us through also on the detail of this parallel road, where exactly it will be from and to?
Right now, initially, based on the previous data that we have, it is identified within the coastal area of Naga, connecting on the coastal area of Milanilla, connecting to Talisay directly to SRP.
Okay, so this one is also another like a bypass road, but this time on the coast. And
Yes.
the connection will be all the way to SRP.
Yes. Yes.
How
So if
about, sige, continue.
for the Metro Cebu Expressway, it would be on another side.
And this is
So
part of the the five major infrastructure
yes.
projects. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, can you
Yes.
walk us through on the Metro Cebu Expressway on the other side?
The Metro Cebu Expressway is from Naga to Danao. That's another highway that we are proposing way back 2017, if I'm correct. And it's actually ongoing, but it was suspended because of environmental issues and compliance issues. And hopefully it can get back again on track with proper funding from DPWH, or if there are private sector that is willing to do it for us. So it's from Naga to Danao City. It's estimated 50-kilometer in distance. And we are with the Metro Cebu Expressway from Naga to Danao. Instead of traveling it for 2 to 3 hours, it would be estimated to have 1 hour na lang.
So, sige, I'll go back to the Naga to SRP. Where are we
Yes.
in this particular project? Are we still on the feasibility, or are we now already on looking for funding for this?
We're now looking for funding, but again, we need to have an updated FS, pushing it forward to detailed engineering design for us to proceed with construction proper.
And just like the bypass road also from Minglanilla, I mean Naga, Minglanilla, and Talisay, we cannot comment just yet on the timeline unless these two are met, no?
Yes, not yet. Because the feasibility study will give us an idea what specific route, because there are things that needs to be considered environmentally, socially, because there would be establishment that would be affected. And that will be also the basis how much budget needed for the construction proper. So that's why FS is important and vital for us before we proceed with construction proper.
And just to manage the expectation also of our viewers, no, and as a private citizen, the reason why we're always curious about the timeline, because I think you've mentioned this earlier that these projects are supposed to be done, no, yesterday and not today or the future. But the
Yep.
good thing about this is because we are moving forward. So just for
Yeah.
the feasibility study part, what timeline
Yeah.
are we looking at?
If we get the funding today, we have Secretary Vin say we will fund it under DPWH. We're looking at around 6 to 9 months for FS and proceed with DED an additional 3 months. Then construction proper. I'm not sure the timeline, but it will take years for it to happen because it requires a lot of negotiations because we're not just talking about about the engineering part, but we need also to consider social as well, that would be affected to this project. But I'm looking at it within the 2 to 3 years timeline, or 3 to 5 years for the construction proper.
Now, for the Naga to Danao, can you walk about its status?
Right now, based on our last meeting, on the in Naga, so it's existing, it's there, but it was suspended because of environmental compliance requirements. No? So once it is met, I think they are now reconvening, if I remember correctly, October, doing again because they already met the requirement from the ACC. And for it to push forward, another budget is needed from DPWH. So right now, it's still in Naga, but a little bit further, mo-connect na siya sa Minganilla.
Just to connect, no, okay, because in the previous, not necessarily through Sunstar, but I saw this on Facebook that there was a stretch of road with a very short cemented one. Is this the one?
Yes, that's in Naga,
Okay, this
in
is the
Naga
one.
area. It's,
Oh.
if I'm correct, it's around 2.6 kilometer existing now.
Okay. Sige. And then in the conversations, and now I'm relating these three projects not just on the context of traffic but also in the context of housing, which is essential in terms of solving the flood issue that we just saw
Yep.
during the typhoon, no,
Yes,
after
yes.
Tino. So in the context why I'm also drawn towards the timeline, and the reason why I'm raising this now, so that you can comment also whether this was part of the conversation in the selection of the Naga to Danao road, no? Because part of the roadblock that we gathered, at least in several interviews, it's because the reason why the no-build zone is hard to implement because of mobility, because where are we going to transfer these communities? We cannot put them in
Yes.
the mountain, so chances are
True.
we have to put them somewhere further south or further north. So that's why this road is also essential in the context of flooding. Was this part also of the discussion in the project selection?
Um, it is basically directly connected, uh, because the housing has been issue for a while because it's under the mandate of the local government unit. Um, because you just can't do housing anywhere, you know? And we need to consider basic needs of the people if we want to transfer them. With Metro Cebu Expressway, with Minglanilla Naga, Talisay Bypass Road, this will give us more options for the local government units to identify space for housing because it will give them access. That's the issue also, the access towards from the housing going to the city center. So, ang conditions lang that need to be met by the local government unit is whether that land area that they will do their socialized housing or housing is government property. That's number one. It must be a government property. Number two is it near to, aside from the road being there, is it near to basic infrastructures, basic social infrastructures such as schools, such as market, no? These are requirements. But with the existing road now, that will give them more ideas with the proposed road. That will give them more ideas where to put this housing for its affected
This interview to the conversation that we had with architect Yume Espina, the road from north to south is crucial because part of the reason why development is going up the mountains, which is from east to west, it's really also because the urban areas are already congested. And
Yes, that's
so
true.
we have to move the development to the south and to the north to keep them from encroaching our protected areas in the mountains.
Yeah. And that's also the reason why part of the top five mega projects in relation to dam is not into creating more flood control projects, but really how can we suspend the water from the mountains? And how can we convert that, aside on the disaster angle, also addressing another issue on our water supply? So this proposal are not new, by the way, and it requires a lot of political will. And we are thankful that GovPam is pushing this forward, both vertically and horizontally, from mayors down to the president, down to Secretary Vince, no, pushing for the construction of the dams. And she's not just pushing for the construction of Mananga Dam 2. She's pushing for the construction of Mananga Dam 2, Kotkot Dam, Lusaran Dam, and even the Butuanan Dam. So four major dams. If we will suspend the waters from the mountain, it will still, I'm sure, because flooding is a natural phenomenon, but it will prevent same situation that we are experiencing for the last weeks. No, so with that, this will address two issues, not just flooding, but also water supply.
So
So that's
what
our third.
Yeah, thank you. So where are we in these four dams also? What's their status?
Right now, for mega project in relation to dam, it's currently being identified by the RDC 7 as one of our top 30. So that's one. We are able to get it there. Number two is we are pushing for it to be included, no? Because if that's included under the budget process, it doesn't mean if that's part of the regional development investment plan, which means the priority of the region, that will be funded. Again, there are a lot of regions in the Philippines, and we have limited budget resources. So we need to get that 10% doing since day one, pushing for the construction of the dam. And we are fortunate because we have, in principle, Secretary Grins confirming the funding for the FS and the DE for us to proceed with the construction.
I hate to put you on the spot, but I did also saw a news clip several days ago in which when the president visited the flooded sections once again, he actually made a statement that there will be no more flood in Cebu moving forward. As bad no as Tino. So is that pronouncement also you think would further support no the projects such as these four dams in four watersheds also in Cebu?
Yeah. Technically, this is how we approach things. No? When we had our discussion with Governor Pam and the team, flooding is a natural phenomenon. So flooding would still be there. Happening right now is be controlled. There will be no flooding. But the goal is how can we manage flooding? So the goal is to suspend it on the mountain, no? Supported by short term, which is what the president has been doing through the Oplan Kontra Baha by desilting it. It's also important, but on a short-term basis. But we need to address this on a long term because again, the construction of dams requires 5 to 7 years. So we can't just wait for the dam to be constructed for us to prevent that flash flood that happens to us. But there are short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So the Oplan Kontra Baha could be our short-term initiatives by the support from the national government. Medium term could be widening a road, building no hazard zone, but on a long term, we need also that dams. So while that long term is ongoing, we need also to work on the short term. But would there be no flooding? There's still flooding because flooding is a natural phenomenon. We can't prevent it, but we can manage it.
So now we talk about the three roads and then the four dams. What's the fifth major infrastructure priority?
The fourth one, the last two, is the bulk water projects. As you know, Cebu, one of our biggest issue is really water supply. And it's not just Metro Cebu. Outside Metro Cebu, local government units are also experiencing issues on the water supply. So bulk water projects is also proposed within the top 5 mega projects for Cebu. Initially, we are able to identify two local government that can potentially provide more water supply to LGUs in the north, which is in Tuburan and Tabualan. So when we do the bulk water supply projects, that will add more water to these LGU and to their neighboring. No? And that could also add more water supply for Metro Cebu. So they can provide and connect with MCWD because that's on the other side of Metro Cebu. So that's number one, addressing water issue. That will be our fourth top mega projects for Cebu. Our number five is to address solid waste. Right now, as far as I can remember, we have two functional landfill which are owned privately, in Consolacion and in Cebu City. And what we're experiencing now, like the earthquake, like the typhoon, other crises that we're also experiencing, where do we dispose our waste? No? With this limited landfill now, private owned, we need another solutions to address our problem on solid waste. No? So that's why under the leadership of GovPam, we will be pushing the waste to energy that will be located for Naga and the other one in Danao.
Okay, so just to calibrate on the five, no. So the three roads are three different infrastructure priorities, correct?
Yes.
And then the dams, is this part of the five or not?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Metro Cebu Expressway, number one.
Okay.
The Naga Talisay Milanila Bypass Road, that's
Okay.
number two. Number three is the construction of dams. And also the implementation of the Metro Cebu Drainage and Flood Control Master Plan. So that's
Okay.
connected to the dam. So that's number three. Number four is the uh, construction of bulk water projects in the north, initially identified Tabuelan and Tuburan. And number five is the construction of waste to energy plant in city of Naga and the Now City that will address not just our solid waste issue, but also our power issue.
And then just to calibrate also, Eliba, when we say that this is up for presentation, so that means before that will be completed, all the feasibility studies will have to be updated or completed as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then just to set the expectation also for viewers, because this administration only has 3 years, is it reasonable to expect that at least for this term, all the prerequisites will be completed so that hopefully in the next administration, the focus will be on the construction?
The goal now is to have all these projects funded. Not just on the FS and DED, maybe on the first phase of the construction part. This has been the issue of Cebu. We have a lot of studies, but there's no actual construction. So the goal of GovPam, aside from FS and DED, at least the construction will start during the next 3 years. Dapat mag-start with ang construction. Okay, once the construction started, then the budget will just follow. So that will be now on the next.
I think he was disconnected. But anyhow, for the benefit of our viewers, this is actually a good conversation and also part of the things that we can look forward, because if we have captured it towards the last part of Ellie's statement, he actually said that for these five major infrastructure projects, the goal is not just feasibility, but also to look for funding and to have those funding approved, and for construction to actually start within this administration. And the good thing about that, because he also stated, and I agree, that we have heard about so many plans in the past, but not all of them made it into something more concrete and visible to the general public. So I'm glad that part of this administration's term is to actually commence the construction of this. Close this particular segment in today's conversation. Is there anything that you can actually tell to our viewers, about these five major infrastructure projects and why these five will be different compared to the many plans that we heard in the past?
Working with Mega Cebu, uh, the number one problem in Cebu, I caught this from a private sector leader. He said, our number one problem in Cebu is we're not solving our problem. Under GovPAM's leadership, uh, issues will be addressed. Real issues and what Cebuano needs will be addressed. We are experiencing now the mistakes of the past. No? So GovPAM's direction now is to solve this within the next 3 years, or commence at least. So all institutional setup would be placed. Provincial Development Council will be functional. The provincial project monitoring committee would be present to ensure that all project with funding is fully utilized and on time. So there is oversight, the reconvening of the Mega Cebu to oversight Mega Cebu projects, and her being the RDC chair can also check all projects from national to local. They can check whether it's improving or not. Within the administration of GovPAM, we're not just looking at activities, we're not just looking at funding, but we're looking at progression, movement of projects. And that is expected under this administration, and I'm sure we will be reporting it to you because GovPAM would like and would want to stay as the people's governor of Cebu.
So thank you very much, Elizar Sabinay Jr. of the Provincial Planning and Development Office of
Thank you,
Cebu
thank you.
Province. Thank you very much for joining us today. So it's really a welcome development for the province of Cebu to be able to see five concrete infrastructure, mega infrastructure projects in coordination, also in a closer coordination also with the national government. I'm also glad that at least for this administration, we are moving away from substandard flood control projects and are doing projects that will have a lasting change and impact to the to the province of Cebu. So I'm particularly excited about the bypass roads from Naga to Talisay, and another bypass road also on the coastal side from Naga to SRP, because this will decongest the clogging of the national road in Minglanilla going to Naga from Talisay, because as we speak we only have one road as of this time. So I'm glad that there are other parallel roads that eventually are to be constructed within this term, so that we would see some significant change in terms of traffic flow in that section, because that's really notorious for heavy traffic, especially on peak hours. I'm also excited about the other coastal roads as well as the four dams, because from what we gathered from the many guests and experts that we had in the past, these are also crucial for us to have some tangible effect in managing flood. Now, I will have to agree with what Ellie said, that flood is a natural occurrence. And the most that we can do is for us to effectively manage it. And part of effectively managing it is not to flood residential spaces that will cause damage not only to properties but also to lives. So I'm glad that there are also concrete steps that are being done. One is housing, so that we can relocate those homes on the floodplains by having a road, no? A linear road from north to south, so that development will move towards the north and towards the south, and not necessarily towards the mountain, which is west. So because housing is part of the solution. And the other one that I'm also looking forward are the four major dams, incidentally, and the four major watersheds. Because as we could see from Typhoon Tino, these watersheds, because of what we've done, the bad things that we did to these mountains resulted also to flash floods. And so the good thing about this is we are making the most out of these watersheds by constructing eventually these dams so that they will hold water and keep them from flowing downstream, and at the same time manage another problem, which is water shortage. So these are good projects, in fact, remarkable projects that all of us in Cebu can be excited. And again, because of my excitement, I'll just have to say this. I'm also glad that part of this administration's priority is at least to start the construction, because this will make it different from the other plans that we've seen in the past, in which we just spoke about them, but nothing concrete really came out of those conversations. So if we see construction of these 5 priority mega infrastructure projects, that's already good enough. At least something is being done from the mistakes that we did in the past. We learned our lesson and we are moving forward. So now, speaking of flooding, now let's talk about the other space that's also influencing this, and that's something as inevitable as the weather. So from Pag-asa, we have weather specialist, Jhomer Eclarino. So good afternoon, Jhomer.
Yes, sir, DJ. Good afternoon sa tanan o sa atong viewers and listeners sa Sunstar.
Yeah, I can see actually that you have an interesting photo here now.
Yes.
So anyway, can you walk us through how Typhoon Verbena went?
Yes, so sa latest data natin and sa atong informations, ang bagyong Verbena is nagka-intensify na kini into severe tropical storm category and naa na sa 375 kilometers kasadpan bahin ng Coron, Palawan. Expected nato tonight or early morning tomorrow is makagawas na kini sa atong Philippine Area of Responsibility. And tungod kini sa bagyong Verbena, napatay signal number 1 sa Kalayaan Islands. But here in Central Visayas, including Cebu, expecting na nanatay generally good weather or fair weather. Maayo ng tempo ng panahon, init, but not gihapon mga localized thunderstorms in the next 3 to 5 days. And for the information of the everybody, around 2:40 AM, November 25, naglandfall ang bagyong Verbena dito sa Cebu, sa Talisay, Cebu.
Okay. So just for calibration on this particular topic, I think the interest now for viewers are the wind signal or the strength of the wind and also the amount of rainfall. So in terms of the strength of the wind, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not really as strong as the other typhoons that we've seen in the past, right?
Yes, dumaan ang bagyong Verbena sa Visayas as a tropical depression category. So hinay na bagyo kini, the first category of the tropical cyclone. Ang TD is up to 61 kilometers per hour ang kanyang gikusgon sa hangin. Kaya ang most municipality o almost full provinces in Central Visayas gi-raise na to as tropical cyclone wind signals number 1. So even though ang atong na-raise lang is signal number 1, ang atong gi-forecast naman na amount of rainfall is daghan. Miabot ta sa 100 to 200 millimeters amount of rainfall. So if we compare during the Typhoon Tino, mas dagang uwan si Typhoon Tino compare kay bagyong Verbena.
With that particular statement, can you also correct me if I'm wrong? Because the number that I've been hearing always about Typhoon Tino is 183 millimeters. and verbena is said to be 200 millimeters. So from a lay person, it looked like verbena has more rainfall compared to Tino. Can you correct me with that if I'm wrong?
Yes, sir, DJ, and sa ato mga listeners, no? First, unahin natin si Bagyong Tino. Typhoon Tino, atong maximum forecasted is more than 200 millimeters amount of rainfall bago ito maglandfall sa province of Cebu. Based sa ating nanatay mga gigama na mga assessment, mga preliminary reports about the all available data, especially in rainfall data nato, ang pinakatapuan natong nakuha is itong EWS, automatic weather stations natin na nakapag-record ng ulan sa Toledo City, Cebu, umabot ng 423.5 millimeters. In short, 400 millimeters amount of rainfall. In terms of drums or barrel per square kilometer, that is more than 2 million. Or if we compute it to how many standard swimming pool, is around estimated 169 ka standard na swimming pools ang binus na ulan dito sa Cebu during Typhoon Tino.
And that's in the period of 3 days or a period of 1 day?
In the span of 1 day, that is 24 hours na siya.
So that was
While
really a lot, no?
Yes, sir, DG, correct. That is more rains talaga ang gibubo sa Cebu during Typhoon Tino. Compare naman natin si Bagyong Berbina, ang pinakamataas na ulan na nakuha natin dito sa southern part of Cebu, ang ating EWS in Dumanhog, Cebu, which is located in the southern part of Cebu, nakapag-record naman ng 200 plus o 201 millimeters amount of rainfall, which is half nang na-record sa Toledo City during Typhoon Tino.
Okay. So that's closing, no, on the topic on Tino and also on verbena. But I've also heard that there's another depression that's forecasted to hit the Philippines.
Yes, actually natay officially katong dapat ang ating mga kababayan, disaster managers, natay official website diha nato i-post ang atong gitawag dato na tropical cyclone threat potential. The TC threat potential dito nakikita na natin within 1 to 2 weeks if magkakaroon ba ng low pressure area or bagyo. That is updated 3 times a week. Sa ating latest na analysis, for the first week of December up to second week of December, meron tayong nakikita na formation ng low pressure area. But latest na analysis natin, itong low pressure area na nakikita natin sa numerical weather prediction models pa ni, wala pa kini sa satellite, is low likelihood pang maging bagyo or tropical cyclone. But strictly monitoring tayo daily sa status ng ng weather. That is a very significant and important, lalong-lalo na ang December, meron tayong forecasted o expected na bagyo na 1 or 2.
Yeah, that actually was supposed to be my next question. But historically, because I've heard about the forecast of 2 potential storms, no, that will hit the Philippines for December. That's just a forecast. But historically, how many storms do we normally have in a December?
Yes, normally if wala actually before that, this quarter or last quarter of the year, meron tayong nakikita na La Nina conditions. In history, pag La Nina conditions, more tropical cyclone form mostly in the last quarter of the year. And kapag wala namang La Nina or itong tinatawag natin na neutral conditions o normal, pwedeng 0 or 1 lang ang nade-develop na bagyo during December.
And then just to close this interview, I'd also like to ask you, no, to speak to our viewers about the steps that you can suggest for individuals and communities, no, for them to be able to continue building resilience, especially about Cebu in general being prone to both typhoon and also flood?
Yes, sir, DJ, no, and sa tanang viewers, unang-una, makinig tayo sa ating official informations, which is the accountable for the weather and climate, itong DOST Pag-asa, that is 24/7, nagre-release official information if merong darating na masamang panahon, lalong-lalo na itong mga tropical cyclones, low pressure areas, and other than that, the climate informations, itong La Nina, El Nino, or neutral. And actually, i-adapt na to atong lesson learned from the past, from the mga previous na tropical cyclones that devastated our country. Importante ang atong lesson learned para magamit natin to sa susunod na mga, if may bagyo, na prepare tayo and aiming the zero casualty and minimize the damages in the property and lalong-lalo sa ating agrikultura. So padayon na tayo mag-monitor sa latest weather update. Ang early warning system ng DOST Pag-asa, the warning and advisories informations is given to the public sa ating mga LGUs and disaster managers, lalong-lalo na in terms of kusog na hangin. Meron tayong binibigay na tropical cyclone wind signals. Kapag naman malakas ang ulan, meron tayong binibigay na mga weather advisory for the next 3 days. Ito yung nabanggit ko kanina. Example, ang Cebu makakareceive ng 100, 200 millimeters amount of rainfall in advance 3 days. And meron din tayong nowcasting, itong tinatawag natin na nare-receive natin sa cellphone, itong yellow, orange, red heavy rainfall warning, kanang gikan sa NDRRMC, that is 3 hourly updated siya. Meron din tayo mga general advisory, especially sa mga nagpuyo, sa mga duol sa sapa, sa low-lying areas o sa mga riversides and sa mga landslide prone areas, may mga advance warning tayo. So, mag-amping, prepare and continuously daily monitoring sa ating weather updates, Sir DJ.
Sige. Thank you, Jhomer, for joining us today.
Welcome, sir. Dagang salamat and mag-amping ng tanan.
So that's Jhomer Eclarino, weather specialist from Pag-asa, and he was able to at least give us some sense of update on what transpired in terms of rainfall, specifically during Typhoon Tino, in relation also to the typhoon to Verbena, which we just experienced earlier this week. And he's also giving us a potential threat that we might be facing in the next 2 weeks, but this is still under monitoring. And I'd like to echo also what he said, that it is important for us to always go for legit sources. So Pag-asa has a website, and that's almost always where I get my information. And let's also, just in case we were not able to successfully do that, then we can also go to the social media page of Sunstar and also our website, because we are monitoring situations such as this one so that we can give you live updates for us not just to prepare but effectively manage typhoon and flooding, because these are already risks that we need to be extra more mindful, so that in spite of these occurrences, there will be less damage, if not no damage, and no casualty to lives. So continue and stay tuned to our updates. Will we have the update from MCWD? Okay, so I'm sorry again to our viewers that you will be disappointed again this time, because we will not be able to get the update from MCWD spokesperson Minerva Gerodias because of some other meetings also on priorities that she's facing. But we also feel you in terms of the need to get some update from MCWD, because we are aware that weeks after Typhoon Tino, there are still portions of Cebu with water connection that are yet to be restored. No? So we also know that these matters are important to our viewers, so we'll do our best to get in touch with MCWD the soonest that we can, given this development, so that we can still give you updates specifically for water restoration in Cebu. And by the way, we posted earlier that there's going to be a conversation around the restaurant business as well as Mind on Wheels now, but because of some schedule realignment, we're moving that interview to next week. So please stay tuned also in our website and our social media pages so that we can tell you when exactly will be this particular interview with Chaim Osabel next week. So that wraps up this edition of Beyond the Headlines. We hope today's conversation help shed light on the bigger picture behind the so many positive stories and also challenges that we are facing, lessons that we are learning, and using them to move Cebu and Cebuanos forward. Once again, we'd also like to thank our guests, Mr. Elizar Sabinay and Jhomer Eclarino, for helping us connect the dots in ways that matter. I'm DJ Moises. Thank you and good afternoon.